while the commission meetings can become very grueling, I think it is an essential part of the process. As far as applauding ourselves for having streamlined the process in the past, I don't necessarily agree that streamlining the process is the best thing to support open government. I think that coming up here and giving as much comment as we possibly have to offer is simply the best way for this to happen. And some commissions are going to be longer and some are going to be shorter, based on how well we agree on the issues. But when there are issues that we cannot come to an agreement on, I support the idea of speaking on those issues as long as we possibly can until we get all of our thoughts out. I'm excited about the raft race. I think it's a great idea. They actually were talking to me earlier about helping to design the raft, so I think that's very exciting. Sometimes things do get very heated up here, so it is nice to sort of break some of that tension up with a fun idea like a raft race. So I'm looking forward to participating in that. And this difficult situation regarding Dee McNamara, I do not want to see racism perpetuated in our city. If we need to have a continued conversation about it here in City Hall, I welcome that. I would encourage any and all people who do involve themselves into the situation to recognize that on both sides we are dealing with human lives and we are dealing with the way that human beings would like to be treated. And while we should have no tolerance for racism, we should also consider the way that we are addressing that racism to ensure that we are not encroaching upon someone else's human rights, because then you are, in essence, becoming just what you're fighting against. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Marceau? If I get sick, he's going down.
Barbara Jean's not here tonight, so I'll stay even quiet. And she's always accusing me of not talking enough.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yeah, thank you.
Want to switch seats?
What's that? It's not nice to Commissioner Amoroso. He spoke very briefly. I just would like to, well, first one detail. Madam Mayor, could you kindly brought our attention to the ITN meeting on April 28th. Could you refresh us on the title of that meeting, or the project title?
ITN 14-211 Casino and Beach Complex Expansion.
I was interested to see that complex expansion. That was not something that I particularly noticed that name in the past, and I think that's something that the community needs to be aware that that's what we titled it, and apparently that's what we're considering. I would like someone to answer Mr. Tim's questions. Is this in fact a public meeting, and will the public be allowed to comment on it?
I'll do it since I'm on the ITN. This is a public meeting, yes, and no, the public cannot comment. It's open to the public because in essence the ITN has finished. However, we had additional questions, so we feel that there needs to be at least one more meeting where questions were asked and questions will be answered, but it is not open to the public. And Mr. Tim, I mean, it's not, it is open to the public, but public does not speak. There's no public comment. And Mr. Tim, the board, again, the ITN board is just a fact-finding board. Excuse me for my voice. It's just a fact-finding board. Once again, just a fact-finding board, and we will bring that information and those facts forward to the commission, and then the commission will have a public meeting where comment will be entertained.
A public workshop first with public comment and no vote. Public workshop first with public comment and no vote,
Right.
followed by, it'll be scheduled and it'll be,
This ITN meeting is a meeting because we had some additional questions that were not answered. If the board finds that those questions were not answered and we need to have another meeting, there will be other meetings. Right now, we anticipate this being our last meeting, and then it will come to the commission at a later date. But right now, it's just still a fact-finding meeting.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you for the, yeah, I did have a couple other items. Regarding Ms. McGivern's comment about that she had received input from some business owners that were concerned with difficulties of dealing with the city. And when asked why don't they come to commission meetings and comment and raise their concerns, with the response being that they didn't want code enforcement aimed their direction as a result. That concerns me a lot at two levels. And the reason I mention it is that I haven't heard the second one about code enforcement being sent that direction. I've heard sort of noises a little that direction, but not a direct one. I have heard from a number of business owners that it was difficult dealing with the city. And for all the talk of investment, and we need stability, and we need to raise income in our city, it bothers me that empirically, when you reach out to folks that have to deal with the city and businesses, there are a noticeable number of people who've had difficulties and didn't find it very professional or quick or courteous or friendly. That is something that will be on my list of objectives for the next year, that we change that we hear very positive things, that businesses, small, large, indifferent, came in and dealt with the city, and they were, it was a quick, professional interaction. So that's something that's concerned me for a while, because I've heard it for some time. More generally, a number of people in their comments, and some of my colleagues up here, commented that we want meetings to be efficient, and we want investment in the city, and things have been running well, and therefore we should limit our comments, and we should just get on with it. I have to say that I, as an elected official, hear from a lot of people in the community. And I have a lot of people that have mentioned that they appreciate that I ask questions, that there's some discussion of things. I've had very few people who've said, hey, it needs to be shorter, we need to just get this done. People were appreciative that they could be at home and listening to these or watching them and understand more of what's happening in the city. The comment was made that we shouldn't be rehashing things that happen in our one-on-one meetings with the city manager. Hello? The public is not at the one-on-one meetings with the city manager. Of course, some of those things need to be discussed and out and available for residents to be aware of. That's kind of a no-brainer. And I would say that, of course, our city is well aware of our financial challenges, that we are not a wealthy city, that we probably could do with some more investment and some more money. But as I said in my swearing-in speech, this city is much more than just numbers and money. And there are a lot of people in this city who feel very strongly about a wide variety of things that go beyond just bringing in more investment. That's a particular worldview. It has a place, it has an importance in Lake Worth, but to gear everything only to that criteria cuts out a very large number of people and a very large faction of folks that voted recently. So I think you will find that I will continue to ask questions. I will continue to challenge things. I will continue to explain things to make sure that people hear them and have the opportunity to be aware of what's going on.
I agree. I think you should ask questions. I think everybody should ask questions. I think you should, first of all, no, I didn't hear that you shouldn't talk about what is said in your meetings with the city manager. It was saying that you should ask the questions that you're concerned about to the city manager to get the appropriate staff to give you the answers. That was what was said. The one thing I would like to say though is, everyone needs to do their homework up here, okay? And I've said that before, I said that over and over again. This is not a time of discovery. When you come to this meeting, you shouldn't be reading the items for the first time on your agenda. You're supposed to do your homework ahead of time, read your backup material, put your questions together, meet with the city manager, ask them to bring in applicable staff for those issues to get the information that you need. Then you come to the meeting and say, you know, I don't like this and here's why. I had concern over X, Y, Z. I spoke with staff through the city manager and they told me X, Y, and Z. And this is why I'm for it, or this is why I'm against it. Did you know that X, Y, and Z? And you can still talk about the issue. That's fine, but that work has been done beforehand. You've gotten answers from. This is not discovery here in this room. You shouldn't be learning an issue for the first time on this dais. And that's what I meant by streamlining the process, making sure people do their homework and make sure they're not coming up here not knowledgeable for it, so that we all have to sit and listen through when everyone's read the backup materials, including many in our audience that understand what the issues are. This is not discovery. That's what I meant by streamlining. In addition, the retaliation of code enforcement, that's been going on for 10, 15 years, people saying the same thing. And as for the issue that people have, business owners, hello, was one who was supposed to be in my building in October, didn't get in until February, paid lease on 2 buildings, simultaneously almost bankrupt my business when I was dealing with it. I know what the city was like. That's how I got involved in this mess to begin with. But I will tell you this, that it has gotten much better, but we have this reputation. And the more negativity we spew about ourselves, guys, we become a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know that. Let's just keep talking about how we stink at that, we're rotten at this, we're rotten at that. You know what, we used to be that. We made a lot of improvements.
Point of information.
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Madam Mayor. Commissioner McFoy, were you finished speaking?
Yes.
Not altogether, but that's okay, go ahead.
It is my understanding, and if
I'm running the
city
meeting.
attorney, I am allowed to interrupt and ask this question. City attorney, if the commissioner has the floor, is the mayor or any one of the commissioners allowed to interrupt them?
I'm gonna have to ask everybody individually if they're finished speaking after they finish talking, because he paused for a considerable amount of time. Please watch the video back again, that's why we have video, hello. And you'll see that I do that with each and every person up here when they talk. I wait for their pause. When they don't continue talking, I move on to the next person, which happened to be me this time, but thank you for your consideration. I think we're done at this point. I'm gonna call for a recess, 10 minutes, bathroom break. We'll be back.